This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. Okay, so do we want to do
Roll call.
what?
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call. I
Carol
couldn't think of the name.
Linda Reed.
Monica Keefe-Hess.
Cheryl Gale, Beverly Hobbs.
Richard Trimble.
Joan Lockhart. Paula Bruns.
Thank you very much. And did everyone, this is not live, just being recorded?
I think it's live. There's just no one
There's no one.
zooming in.
Well, that's us on Zoom.
Correct,
So-
it's not live. It's just being recorded, but it's not live to anywhere.
Oh, there's a person in there.
It's an owl.
For sure.
Is there a reason why it's not live, Dennis?
Yes, the television channel is down right now, so no shows are live.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
But is Zoom live?
If people join, yeah, it's live
Okay.
to Zoom, but it's not going out to any YouTube or television or anything like that. It's
Okay.
only live for people who
If
join
somebody
the.
was so excited to come by Zoom, they could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone can join on Zoom and that will
Great,
be live
That
for
was
them.
the point I was.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
oh yeah, sorry, yep.
Since Pat Torello left the area, has anybody coming on Zoom ever since then? 'Cause
I have done it.
Yeah.
you have.
Like Linda with
Linda might
surgery
have.
found out she could attend in person today, but there was a chance because she's just coming on the
Okay, so it
surgery,
is
and she would have
used.
been by Zoom.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
there's always that. And you never know. And we have to record it anyway,
Right.
so Zoom is
Mhm.
necessary for that.
I can't hear the camera.
It is like canted camera, and I think it keeps us, looking decent. I wouldn't have gotten dressed otherwise.
You're glad you did.
Well, you aspire to be a UIP, unemployed in pajamas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh. And today we have Karen joining us, and she is now the acting president
President for Live.
of the Friends organization. And I'm sure that you have all heard that Mindy has resigned as president of the Friends. And Karen is stepping in. I think until the meeting of the Friends, which is,
The annual meeting will be May 14th. And so I've been on this slate to go through the president and we are looking for vice president.
so if anyone would like to be the vice president of the Friends, there is an opening.
Hmm.
And if anybody would like to attend the meeting, if you're a member of the Friends,
You're welcome to come.
I don't believe we're allowed to be officers on the Friends
No,
if
no,
we're on
we
this
can't.
board.
We are
Okay.
not.
but if you would
Okay.
like to be,
Speaking to the
please
people
know that you
watching.
can.
Okay, okay,
You
okay.
could want to.
You could want to go on it, but you can't.
Well, you could make a choice.
Yeah, you could make a choice between boards, but I prefer that you didn't. Because I really like all you guys and I want you to be on this board. Could you write that down, please, Richard?
Yes.
No, I don't think I want that in the minute.
No, okay. So
I know you.
now we would like to have Monica give us an update on
Minutes.
the minutes. Oh, the minutes, I'm sorry.
Okay. There you go.
And it was February minutes.
I accept those minutes as written.
I seconded.
Second, okay, thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Accepted.
Wait, I was waiting for a second.
Oh, she did, you did.
We did,
Second.
we seconded.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Come on, I'm getting a little better. All right, now we can have Monica.
All right, well, I don't have any stats or anything, so I haven't done any official reports, but things have been going pretty smoothly. We've had a lot of big programs, good turnout for things. I was really excited. We had the Russ Wilcox come and speak on AI, and he's doing it monthly. But we had I think 55 people between online and in person.
Mhm.
His
Terrific.
first one, which was amazing.
What was that again?
Russ Wilcox,
Artificial intelligence.
artificial intelligence, he was
okay.
talking about that and the different uses and
Okay.
So it was very successful, and those are being recorded too, so people can access them later.
Monica, do you get notified if somebody accesses it later, just to see, like, is it?
I'll have to check on
Yeah.
that,
How do we access
because-
it later?
well, I think that they'll be on the town's YouTube channel, so I would imagine there would be some kind of,
YouTube.
That has a
counts it.
counter.
Yeah.
That has a
yeah,
counter on it.
so I'll have to check
That's
on.
right. You can look at the number of views on YouTube.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh, we have a
so-
town YouTube channel?
Yes, just Town of Eastham is the name of it.
Yeah.
Better find something to
So-
watch.
Yeah.
So a lot of our programs that are recorded will end up on there eventually, and, so yeah, we'll check and see how many.
I mean,
have
cause that
viewed
would
afterwards.
then,
Increase
Yeah.
the viewers,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was really great, the last Digital Life program that we did, Alex Maldacker, our intern from the high school, who's been amazing.
Alex.
Yes, so he's on the high school robotics team.
Oh.
And so for the Digital Life, they brought the robotics team in and they did a demonstration, and we had a really good turnout for that, but people were really excited about that.
that's so
So
cool.
it's just some different programs that we haven't done before that there was a lot of interest from people in. I'm trying to think of any other big highlights.
There were a lot
but-
of people that came to the, when Jackie was there.
Yes.
we had a good
Yeah,
turnout.
yeah,
There was
yeah.
a good turnout
And
for that.
she also indicated that she would like to come back in June. So, we'll look at, I know we already have our schedule out, for June, but I'm sure we can fit something in and have her back.
Yeah,
there was a
I was
lot
at
of
the
interest.
pre-town meeting the other night, and then she indicated what a great turnout she had, and that she would like to do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I loved is that if she didn't know an answer, she didn't make something up.
Mm.
I know.
I mean, she said, I don't know, but I'll look into it. Some
Right.
people just kind of
Right, she wasn't making it.
make stuff up off the cuff, and,
Yeah.
and my husband was like, that's really refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she knew the answers to 99% of the
What
things,
was
but
the,
there-
what was the gist? Was it, where the town's going as
warrant.
far as stuff?
She went through the warrant,
Mhm.
which
Okay.
opened it up to side other topics that were kind of tied in, so.
Okay,
She also had solicited some, she was looking for some ideas of things to talk about, so some people had sent her some things. So she had everything pretty well covered.
it
I mean,
was
She
really good.
stayed until everybody had their question answered,
yeah.
which,
was there anything asked about tea time?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, what was the answer?
be there and you could have heard it.
I wasn't there.
Sewers,
It's a long,
Sewers.
long answer.
Well,
Water, I think it's.
sewers and water, but
On
sewers.
April 8th, we have, Paul Lag is gonna come.
May.
May.
Did I say
April 8th
April?
has gone
Thank
by.
you, May. I don't even know what day it is anymore, but yes, thank you. On
Thursday.
May 8th, Thursday, May 8th.
I'm bad on the mark.
That's our Eastham focus for
If Paul's
May
coming.
will be Paul Lag.
And he's our town planner.
Yes. So, I'm just thinking, speaking of tea time, he'll be able to
There was a video,
answer.
I don't know if she was recorded.
Was it on Zoom?
It was on Zoom.
Okay.
It
Yes,
was on Zoom.
yes, so it
The
is.
short version, Reader's Digest, it's gonna be probably a good 10 years before we have a finished product
yeah.
for downtown Eastham.
Okay,
That's really the very short version,
okay.
and she talked about the state.
and sewers
Yeah.
have to come.
Water has to,
Yeah.
yes, the sewer system has to be voted in first. And I
Right.
believe that they took that off the warrant
They
for
did.
this year.
They
The
did.
water has,
They're gonna do a town
Oh,
meeting.
special,
Yeah.
right,
oh, so the water's not done.
the sewer is not.
Sewer's not done, but the water's done.
I think so.
Not everyone has water and they're trying to encourage people to get water.
I'm one of them.
But it's in all the streets,
Yeah,
is
we
that
don't-
correct?
Yeah, it's right outside my house. It's like right
Yeah.
there.
But anyways,
Interesting.
Little off topic, anyway.
No,
And
to know,
also the newsletter went into the mail yesterday. I met
Awesome.
them at the post office, so, people should be, hopefully even maybe tomorrow you'll have it in the mail,
Great.
so.
congratulations.
Good job.
So I think that's
Newsletter, did you do the newsletter?
Dorothy did a lot of it ahead of time, so she was really busy before she went out, so, yep. And thankfully, I had Susan Abbott, so we were able to pull the rest of it together and, so I think it's good,
Good.
so.
Well, thanks for being with
Congratulations.
Lou, and I know you're doing a lot of extra and all that and stepping up, so thank you.
Yeah, it's a stressful time.
She looks very relaxed, I have to say.
Yeah.
Right, we're, you know.
Great.
Yeah, things seem to be really calm there.
Good.
Medication helps.
Better living.
We don't talk
chemistry.
about that.
Don't play poker with Monica.
Good point. You can't play poker with me because everything shows on my face, so. All right, now. Is that all set?
Really?
Is that director's report?
Is that it, Monica, or?
Yeah, unless anyone has any questions, like I said, I didn't put my stats together. I did have a little list of things that I left at the office, so it's just speaking off the cuff here, but.
When is Dorothy tentatively coming back?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be as early as late next week.
Oh, no, but the month, I meant the month of May, is it?
Yeah.
I couldn't
Oh.
remember what month she was coming back.
Well, she was
Yeah.
saying April 28th, but just whenever
Yeah.
going back with her, she hasn't been doing well.
Yeah,
So sometimes
so-
maybe in May.
probably in May. I think there's some appointments coming up that were unexpected.
Okay.
To be
I
determined.
I think the official date was supposed to be April 30th, according to the,
Yeah.
the leave, but
She may not be ready.
there's some, yeah, so we're just sort of playing it, and I just, I'm gonna check in with her hopefully some point today, but, just in, you know.
Yeah.
We'll encourage her to take care of herself and whatever.
Yeah, if she comes back too early. then she's
Exactly,
just-
that's no
it's
good.
Gonna be worse for her than if she stays out,
So,
so.
we'll see.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to cover some things, but I may overlap with what some other people are doing, and so I'll try to be quick on those. So Cheryl and I have been working on the response to the UMass report, and we're getting pretty close to the end of it. I wrapped up the rest of it, and you and I have to sit and work on that. I went through their issues and the possible responses on their page, and I did it through AI. Because each thing with them was like this long. So I just kind of made it a little bit shorter, but it didn't leave out any major things. But they were looking at, like, we need to have more housing. And I didn't think that housing was an issue for the Council on Aging, that it's more, the town is working on that. So I just said that it was a larger issue than the Council on Aging would be prepared to answer. And there were a couple of things like that, like transportation. But I said that there was a presentation that was given at the library. I have to get in touch and find out about when that was done. But there's a few things like that I still have to get in order. But we'll look at that, and I covered the Mindy. And I have been working with Karen on, it occurred to me that we're doing an amazing job on getting younger people in. And I don't want to lose sight of our older people. So when I remembered years ago, I would go to the parade and the oldest person in town would be riding in the parade in a dangerous situation, leaning up against a replica of the windmill. And they looked like they had been tied to it, and they would have.
Perhaps they were.
And I wanted
Did
to
they have
take
a
bets.
cane?
They did, and I wanted to take bets on whether or not they would make it to the windmill, but then that seemed rather,
Grim.
it didn't seem in good
Wouldn't, it's not good.
it was not in good taste.
Especially if you won.
So I'm working on having the 3 oldest people in town, because they're all going to be 100. where we have the parade. So we're working on that, and Sandy Sedlak has announced that she is leaving and retiring from the Friends now, and she is the person who raised all the money to build the center and has been head of it for a long time. So, we are going to honor her, or Karen is working on honoring her at the luncheon. And she's also arranging, am I stepping on your stuff? So we're arranging Margaret Daly at the Historical Society has been doing oral histories with people for a long time, and they're on the Historical Society's YouTube channel. And they really sound fascinating, so if you would like to spend some time looking at,
They have their own YouTube channel.
they do, they have their own, well, they're not part of the town, they're not a town department.
Historical.
So they're just out Historical
East End
Society.
Historical.
So they're out doing it on their own. So she is going to do an interview with Sandy about the history of the Council on Aging and all of that, and we're gonna honor her at the luncheon. And the other idea I have is to get portraits, portraits done of the 3 oldest people. And so that maybe we could put them up in the senior center,
For all 100?
all 100.
Wow.
Well, not yet,
Not yet, one is.
not yet. We're hoping to make it to 100.
Yeah.
Just to honor some of our older people who have been coming to the center for, I mean, maybe as much as 45 years or 40 years.
Wow.
So we don't know.
And if I can interject,
Please do.
Margie, who's 100, still goes to sit and.
Oh my God.
Oh, she's so cute.
She is
amazing. Yeah.
herself.
Well, I will tell you, the other person that's turning 100 in October, that she's the 3rd person, so. Joan,
Joan also.
she goes to sit and
That is
fit
good.
religiously at the senior center, so
Wow.
I think that speaks
They are
volumes to our exercise programs, but they attend other programs as well, they're very active.
Yeah,
And,
and Margie's kind of sassy.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we love about her, I think that's what keeps her.
she's really got an attitude.
That picture of her on Facebook with the cute little copper firefighter was adorable.
Yeah.
I mean, she just had a little twinkle in her eye.
Yeah, that Officer Mike came and stayed for the birthday party, so
That's great.
he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I looked up the stuff about the cane. Do you guys know all about the cane? How, where that came about and all that?
Well, apparently it's an old New England tradition that there be a cane that is given to the oldest
It's
person.
actually from the Boston Post.
Yes.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Boston,
called
the
And
Boston
it
Post
was
Road?
in the 1800s, and initially it was given out to the oldest male
Ah,
in
course.
every community. And I think like in the 1932 or something like that, they started giving it out to the oldest, whether they be male or female,
mhm.
because it probably got
You gotta
silly
recruit the
because most of
women.
the people that were old were
Were
probably
women.
female.
Yeah.
And so I think initially they made up like 200 canes, and they were in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts.
There's a little plaque on the one in the library at the
Yeah.
center that tells that story.
Yeah.
Sandy
little-
does not want to give that out because she said that in many communities, when people pass, their
Harris don't know.
survivors don't know what it is and how important it is and so they've had replicas made. And so people can have the replica, but they can't have the real cane. So we're
Yeah,
not gonna give
that-
Sandy the real cane.
What?
We're not gonna give Sandy the real cane either.
Yeah, and then apparently it has like a brass or duck head on the top or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, you can see it it's in the
in our
senior
library.
center.
Where is it?
In the library.
In the library. If you walk
The
in,
senior
it's on the
center.
left, kind of by the window.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That's kind of a.
And that's the real one.
it is.
Senior
yeah.
center, I think.
Yeah. So, we're going to give them fake canes.
I
We
don't,
hope that they're strong. enough.
Reproduction.
They're not.
And we have the Friends to thank for assuming all the costs and everything?
We do.
As far as I know, yes, I think Dorothy had already put in for this, because.
Oh, she did put it in the budget, okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
we
that's a good thing for the
Something like
friends.
13 fake canes, so. I should say replicas
Replicas,
rather than. fake.
historically correct replicas.
Yes. So I think it's just a cool thing to honor our oldest people. And her intent was to get more younger people in, and that has been amazing. We have so many more young people coming
And I think it's primarily due to the exercise program.
It is.
And
Wendy's,
yes,
Wendy's just
which
a
is
a
Thanks
magnet.
to Linda.
She's a magnet of people.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
And I could,
It's all your
at
fault.
some point,
My
I'll
fault.
share all of this, I have all of the statistics here. And this is my
Wow.
little book of statistics,
Wow.
and I have them labeled and all of that, so,
Yellow book.
yeah, that's the UMass report.
Ah,
So if anyone
That's
would
not
like
our
to see,
report, though.
no, that's,
That's
this
in
is
a
our
red book.
materials for our response. So if anybody would like to look at statistics. So that's that, and, we cleaned the stage off. I don't know if any of you have been in there to see it,
It makes a big difference. Huge.
but it's made a huge difference.
Yep.
And so now the exercise people are able to get up there and not worry about crashing into the bed where the stage rises.
Yeah.
Which is then behind them. And I talked with Wendy about it, and she's delighted that she can, people can
Bounce
see
around.
her better, they can understand what the exercises are better. And all of that. I did have a complaint about how we stored the linens. Someone was confused that perhaps we meant bed sheets. And why did we have bed sheets? And we should have marked them tablecloths. So and that we should have worked better with people, and I actually kind of respect that feedback, and I'm glad that we got it.
So what
Um,
happened to all this stuff there? Just throw a lot of it out?
3 trucks from the DPW.
There
Junk.
were
What's in the bill?
15 to 20-year-old reports from the Neighborhood Watch, which now is defunct.
Oh,
And most of the reports that they have now are computerized. And so the stuff we had to save stuff for 7 years, and most of the stuff was 15 years old.
Hmm.
So we could have thrown that away 8 years ago.
Hmm.
And then there was stuff that there's a lot of like tapes, like 8-track tapes.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
would have had to go
Everybody has
back and
an
buy
8-track.
like, a
Can't-
75 GTO or something. So that we could go and play them and ride around with the top down. There was stuff that it was just so obsolete that there was no way we could use it. Unless we got some nice car or something.
Yeah.
But we would have had to have antique equipment.
Yeah, when we did the renovation, we didn't have time to go through all the files. Sandy went through some, and she said something should be saved, the historical stuff primarily, that
Yeah.
might be of interest. But we really just stuffed back anything that we were afraid to throw away behind the curtain.
Oh, and that's
At the
completely
time.
understandable.
Yeah, yeah,
We had a lot going on.
So
yeah,
we just took it.
yeah, it's good. And taking down those ugly drapes was such a big,
Yeah.
they were just dreadful.
Oh, yeah, that's what made the
It
difference.
says
That's what made the
Cocoa
difference,
brown
yeah.
drapes, they were
So,
so dirty and.
In addition to exercise, does anyone else utilize the stage as a stage?
We might.
So
Yeah, I
far.
mean, I'm just
Yeah,
thinking,
so far, no,
Yeah.
but I think it would be great if presenters come, like maybe next time Jackie comes, she could stand up there, because we could add so many more chairs. But I don't think we've had anything
We've
that's
got-
been that busy to merit
Yeah.
that yet.
We're gonna use it
But
Friday
hopefully
night.
we do
We
get
use
that
that
busy.
when like, the elementary school kids come and do a concert. We usually have to scramble and clear everything off and shove things in different places to make room. So now we don't have to do that. It's just clear.
There's a
And the
lot of room
podium-
back
The
there.
podium is
Yeah.
up there too, yeah.
so you might
I
use
would
it
say
more.
that it's at least the length of these two tables, or the depth of those two tables.
Yeah.
That we've gained.
It's much
Wow.
bigger than I thought.
It
now that
feels
It's got
big,
more
yeah.
room than you thought, huh?
It feels
Yeah.
big. And
It's
it's also
really-
the lighter curtain in the back makes it feel bigger and
Yeah,
it does, it looks 100 times better.
yeah, so it's really great. And we are going to continue things. There's a woman named Toby who's been working on it. And, the money that Joan raised, we can use that, the refresh fund.
Mhm.
So we're going to be able to use that.
Fresh.
Operation Refresh, when we were renovating back
Mhm.
during COVID. It was called
Ah.
Operation Refresh.
Operation Refresh.
So, we're going to look at, I believe that Toby right now is looking into maybe putting down new flooring. And we're going to see if that makes sense. If it's good for the building, and if they're, like, what the price is, because it may be, we think it's probably exorbitant and more than we can afford to spend.
Hmm.
And that it would take up most of our funds.
Flooring for In what place?
lots of the places.
And
The whole-
the whole flooring everywhere or just flooring in the auditorium?
Just in the big room, because
Okay.
with so much exercise there, people's knees that are,
It's not because of
Uncomfortable.
there. That floor is really very adequate for what we do. It
Yeah, a lot
really
of the new
is.
flooring though.
It's
also
very adequate for what
gets
we do.
stickier when it gets wet,
yeah.
so there's a lot less fall hazard.
Yeah, somebody from the town did a beautiful job stripping that and relaxing it, and it
That
really
was-
looks stellar.
Yeah.
Teresa,
By
on
herself.
her hands and knees.
She's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
It's like
Yep.
3 shades lighter.
Yep,
Because
It's cream color now.
she felt the machine did not work well
Oh,
enough,
wow.
so
she did,
she wanted to do it correctly.
when we
That's
did
incredible.
It
Yeah.
looks
you should have
wonderful.
seen what the bathrooms were like before she did that.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
And if she did it in thirds, so you
Yeah.
could really see.
Oh, yeah, it was
difference.
amazing.
I mean, we almost thought it was wood
Yeah.
before she cleaned it,
Yeah.
because it was that brown color.
that flooring is quite expensive.
Oh,
The only thing I want to say is that, I think for the most part, the Friends money should be used for programming and not the physical facility, because we have money in our budget for the physical facility. And I just think that I don't know, it feels like the town should take care of its buildings to
I
me,
agree. We have not been
And-
good at
But-
delineating.
but we have money in the budget.
Well,
Yes,
particularly since that, all the stuff that we just talked about the time horizon. Time horizon is 10 years plus.
that's right. Yeah. And I need to find out, and this is something Cheryl mentioned a little while ago, which she's completely right. I need to find out who is going to be responsible for any work that's being done there and what, like, do they have plans for what they're going to do?
Like a
And
project
is there a
manager.
Timeline, yeah, is there a project manager, is
For,
there,
for the senior center?
yeah, because they have,
If you look at the warrant, there's
Right.
definitely money in the budget.
Yes.
500,000 in capital
In the,
funds.
for capital and then long-term, they have to do their long-term spending thing. So they have designated, it's in,
So who owns the building?
The town.
Then I think
Right.
you have your answer.
but it's a matter
But I don't know who in the town is responsible for that. I think it might be the DPW, which
So,
could make me nervous.
so when
for
I.
outside stuff.
Yeah, when I talked to Jackie early on when I was chair, basically she said it's the senior center's job to decide what needs to be done, the staff there. If there are things that need to go out for bid, like, flooring is an example, the purchasing department, we would recommend what we'd like to have and they would go seek bids to see what it would cost.
Mhm.
So, and if we, and I think if we need outside project management, then I think that should come out of senior center funds, which are there. I mean, there is there's still a little bit of money in the town budget
Yeah,
for things like that. So I
what if
know,
we start with talking with Christine?
yeah,
I'm just thinking
Yeah.
that chain committee,
Yep.
she
Yeah.
seems to get things done.
she does.
And she has people's ears. So what if there's a conversation with Christine and ask her to look into this and report back to us at the next meeting? Like, what is I know it's the new fiscal year, so, we're looking at July. If it's all DPW, they are not gonna do anything until after the summer, we just, I don't know if they're full staff now or not, but if we try first through Christine.
Mhm. I
Right,
think that's a great
and
idea.
ask her to come to the next meeting and let us know what the plan is.
I
And
think
if they come back and say, the COA needs to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And then we can work.
Well, I think we should prioritize, what should be done there, if it's new, like the carpeting downstairs is disgusting, right?
Yes,
Monica has cigarette burns in the carpeting under her desk.
it's not from me.
I know.
I'm not
sure.
smoking on the job.
It
Seen
was-
this smoke.
I may
Out of
start,
the desk.
but
So, and
No,
when we did the mini renovation and Jackie came in and she was shocked at how great it looked. She's like, we owe you guys new carpeting in this place. It hasn't been changed in
Right.
40 years. So I think we have to say to the town, these are the things we want, and let that Christine or whoever help decide how we should get them done.
we do have to wait until after town meeting to be
That's
sure
fine.
that the budget
Yeah.
is approved.
Yeah, but we
can
should-
Start making plans for
Right,
what
we should
want.
prioritize
we
things for
do-
sure. Yeah,
But you don't wanna find out by our next meeting what that process will be?
Yeah, I
Well,
think
the
that's
next meeting will
important.
be after town meeting.
No, I
We've
think
had
both
money.
things can happen.
Process,
Yeah.
we need to understand what the process is clearly before we start doing anything, I think, like,
Right.
how is it gonna happen? And then we can prioritize.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to do that.
I was done.
I interrupted, I'm sorry.
it's done.
I was done.
We didn't interrupt. We didn't interrupt.
I think the idea of Christine coming in and talking to her about what the process is and how,
Yeah,
and then we manage to that. We manage our list, we manage our.
yeah.
Right,
Now, the Project Refresh money, that's.
Operation Refresh, right?
Operation, I'm sorry.
Yes.
X number of thousands of dollars. Would it be appropriate for that money to be earmarked, the furniture and the tables and chairs and things like that?
Well, I mean, we can use it however we want, but I think some of those things are town responsibilities.
So you're
And I
still-
guess I
Is
hate
that-
to use money we raised for the Friends to pay for things that, first of all, have been in the budget for many years. I mean, we've had tens of thousands of dollars in our capital expense budget for years.
But that doesn't roll over,
That we haven't
Yeah.
used,
Yeah.
does
that
it?
we haven't used from year to year?
And we had a budget meeting with Rich once and we were asking
Yeah.
for money for certain things and he said, you've
It's
had this
there.
for years.
Yeah,
So,
It's there.
It's like, yeah,
so-
you got money.
yeah, so I think, it's a matter of time, which the staff hasn't had to deal with some of the stuff. I get that, but making a list of what we want done, like the furniture, the WB Mason catalog, all I need to do is open it and
I thought there was some progress in regard to that, furniture,
Well,
tables,
Toby has been,
chairs.
Toby has been looking at various things and she's been looking at what, like, tables we're able to get. And there are certain town vendors that it would be simple for us to get them. We just order them through the regular channels.
So who's Toby?
Toby is a woman who has experience in design
She's an area
and,
She a town employee?
no,
She's volunteering, correct?
yeah, she's volunteering, so
that's-
she's free.
If I could interject,
Yes.
when we did the winter bash, Toby gave us a gift certificate. And the person that won the basket with the gift certificate donated it back to the Friends and the Senior Center so that Toby could be brought in under that gift certificate to offer her services
Oh,
to
okay.
use the interior
That was,
sidewalk.
that's
Great.
interesting.
So
Great.
that's how that came about.
that's awesome.
Thank you, I didn't know.
Yeah.
What's Toby's last
And
name?
she is a volunteer.
Mardis.
She's also attends the
Mardis,
exercise class.
MARDIS.
Artist,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
as in Martis Gras.
yes.
Okay.
And I contacted her recently to be sure that she was still on board with it,
Okay,
because she is a friend of Mindy's, so I made sure
oh,
that contact was still good,
Yeah.
and she said yes.
okay.
I mean, I'd suggest that the project refresh money be used for over and above basic needs that
Yeah.
the senior center has.
The
Honestly,
extra.
yeah, because people donated it to make it a nicer,
How much is in there, Jim?
I wanna say there's like 7 or so thousand left in there,
7?
yeah. We raised close
Yeah,
to,
the extras would be
I
there.
believe the Friends, from what Mary Jane Kearns told us, our treasurer, I think we have 12 to 13,000 in project refund in the Friends budget.
Yeah,
well, that's where it
available
is,
for
yeah.
that's
these
where I
kind of things.
understood.
And
Okay.
That's where
One
this-
more request, if your group is going to be looking at the senior center, if you don't mind me interjecting, something has to be done about access to that building.
Oh, God.
It's
I
on
don't
the
know.
ADA stuff.
It is an accident looking to happen when we have food deliveries and people are coming out of HIT and people are coming into Sit and Fit and there's Jim's trying to pick up people who are working with canes. It is
And
not.
driving around the building the opposite direction is
It
not a
is-
safe move.
No,
No.
the whole access is not safe. I don't know if anything can be done with that Martha Road or anything. but-
Could we request to have a police officer for the times that the food is being delivered, so that we could have somebody to at least, I mean, I don't know what we could have them do.
According, when I brought it up a few times,
Yeah,
and I've brought it up many times, and I know that, and I sound like a broken record. The answer was that, from Dorothy, that a town employee was to be stationed at the corner to direct people the opposite direction, is what I was told.
What corner about, Rich?
The corner that's the blind corner,
coming up the hill.
Okay.
Yeah,
To
coming up the
stop
hill where you
people
take,
from going up, don't we?
you need two people, I guess there was two people, it's supposed to be one at the corner here and one down at the end of the
That's
building
not
there.
realistic.
Was there
You're not
anyone
gonna check.
identified,
No,
just some vague town employee? Any?
Is there any
So
way
should
of
we
using
come-
the front door?
That's
For the
what I was thinking,
downstairs.
Downstairs, front door is
Downstairs
what you
would be
meant,
so
right?
much easier.
But the
That's
elevator
what
has to work.
That's what I was saying, that it could all,
We could put the food
because
down
the
there.
truck could just come right and
Deliver
back
to the
right,
downstairs.
oh, that,
back right to that
that's a
glass
perfect
door.
solution.
And they could stage things right there. People could come in, grab.
Which
it.
food are you what deliveries are you talking about?
Yeah.
Once a month, we have the mobile food pantry come.
From the Harwich pantry where people
Right,
fill out
right.
their shopping
So
list.
deliver to the bottom door where you'd go in for the Friends meeting on the bottom floor, is that?
But I have suggested that before, but I think there might have been a reason why they did not wanna do that. There might have been a reason why. They
It
didn't
would
think-
still be easier for people getting out of exercise and people picking up.
Yeah, and then the people picking up food could just go up and around and out.
We could also give the people picking up food, a time to come. We could have a schedule.
I think
like-
there's a general time frame.
I know there is, but if you said to somebody, your pickup time is 10:10, yours is 10:20, yours is 10:30, it might help.
Oh.
It
Might
would
help.
mean that they're all
I
not
just-
backed up around the.
This is from the food pantry.
There's doctor's offices who have to lock their doors when they go, because the people populate the waiting room, because their appointment's at 1:30,
Yeah.
but they're gonna get there 1:45.
Could the
Because
food
they don't
pickup
want-
be from
food
downstairs,
creates
or does it have to be
problems.
from upstairs?
We could ask the church if we could do it from there. I mean, they accommodated the seniors doing the Trader Joe's. I mean,
But you know, the
Right.
space where you teach painting,
yeah.
could the food be picked up at that level? There's a ton of
Yeah, it
parking
could
there
be.
and there's no there's no,
Right, it's easy access.
And during that day and time, there's nothing happening downstairs. There's no scheduled program.
But there's still people who need to come out from sick and fit.
Right,
whatever.
Right, but then that wouldn't interfere with that,
Yeah,
'cause
the
like you
truck-
said,
I-
they
well,
could
I
just,
don't know, guys.
swing and.
It sounds
Just
so
move the
simple.
location, just ask the
Well,
church.
It's not just when the food truck comes.
Yeah.
It's every single
Yeah.
day. Every single day there are classes that are coming and going. And it's the ramp, the sidewalk you have to walk up.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
you see
it's a
people
lot.
struggling with a cane, trying to go up that sidewalk, when the rain is coming down and it's like walking in a canal up to that upper parking lot, the whole access needs to be looked at in a bigger project, more than you're gonna discuss in this little.
Yeah.
group.
No,
It's
we
a bigger
understand.
project.
And actually, that was looked at.
Yeah.
And during one of the ADA surveys, there was a complete revamping of the parking
That's
lot.
what needs.
And
Right.
the use of that dead street or the potential street wannabe, that whole thing.
yeah, back when Jan was on the board, yeah, that was.
Resurrect that
huge.
thought process.
I think the problem with changing the entrances was the costliness of it triggered something.
Yeah.
bigger.
No, I don't think
No.
exterior would, interior changes when
You
you
don't think
start.
painting the level of the parking lot and doing all of that isn't a massive?
That's gonna be I guess, if the whole
expensive,
project
yeah.
is over 50% of the assessed
Right.
value of the building,
Then
then it triggers the full upgrade.
Yeah.
Oh,
If it's not framed as an ADA thing,
yeah.
if it's just a safety thing, we're not calling it an ADA thing. We're not changing it because of
I
ADA.
don't know if you can do that, but.
I don't know, but I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
being a
I
pure,
see.
you know,
It's a
what
to be
is,
determined.
Any change to the
Okay.
building that's over 50%.
oh, any change.
Yeah.
And this is probably superfluous and, but Karen and I were having a discussion at the beginning about the foundation plantings and the landscaping around the building. And the weeds that get 4 feet high and, there's a dead tree, there's a stump by the front door, it's like, oh, that was a tree once,
Front door, do you mean down at the street?
no,
The
The front door.
the main front door.
That we don't
The
use.
one that is
Yeah,
never
kinda
used, the
looked at-
double doors.
As you're going in that ramp front door, look off to the right there, and there's a nice little stump there, and
Who does
like-
the landscape gardening?
Is the town doing it now, or do we still have?
They
private company?
pay for it. The town is
We had a
paying
private
for
company
it,
yeah.
for a while.
but I don't think
Easy to
is the
fix.
town doing it?
yeah,
Now
but
they are.
that's mow and go though, isn't it?
Now, they did some trimming.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is,
Hmm.
should we I'm afraid that this discussion is just going to go on for a while because it is
I know.
a huge topic. I mean, how should we handle it? Should we work with the Friends, maybe several people get involved and work with the Friends on this and try to come up with stuff? Should we get an expert who could help? I don't know.
I'd like to say that I think Cheryl's idea of bringing
Christine and
Christine in first and fight to talk, to have a discussion with her. These are our concerns. What's our approach? What's our process?
Yeah,
Once we have a process, then bring everybody together and
Oh,
say,
that makes
okay,
sense.
what are,
yeah.
agreed.
That just makes too much sense.
sorry,
I agree.
it happens once a year.
And you just happen to be here to see it.
And today's the day?
Today,
Yeah, today.
this
Woo.
minute.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know when, do we invite Christine to come? What's that process? I don't
Yeah,
know.
she's on vacation and I think she'll be back on Monday.
So do we invite her to our next meeting or do we have
Yeah.
a meeting in between?
Yeah, I'll see if she can come and tell her that we want to talk about the building and see if she can find out what our guidelines are.
Before the sewer drains the whole budget.
That's usually right.
That money's still there.
What's the plan for accessing the money? How do we give them our priorities?
And how does it work if the Friends were to pay a portion? Does that count in the total? How does that all work? I don't know yet.
I don't even.
I don't think paying contractors would be something
No.
that you guys could do,
No.
but. And I don't, I'm trying to think.
Yes,
of a
Linda.
good word
So
for it.
could we
The
do,
accoutrement
could-
could come from the Friends. That's
could
what
we
I-
do a baby step that will cost nothing? And move the food pickup to the lower door that has a shitload of handicap spots and a big parking lot that nobody has to go on any stairs or any ramps for them to pick up the food and get the truck out of the way.
Monica, do you think that that's a discussion, a decision? Is that something that you would feel comfortable making?
You gotta talk to Dorothy.
Well,
I think it's a Dorothy-
I've suggested it before. I don't know that, and I don't know what the reasons why, but I'll check in. How about, I will look into that, cause I think it should be doable, but there could be a reason why they decided not to go with it. So I
Jim's
don't
the bottle watcher on that, right? He takes the deliveries,
No,
no?
it's actually volunteers, it's Jane and, I think Eileen.
But there'd be no steps for
Doing
people to
it.
come and pick up their food. They'd be parked right there.
I think
It makes perfect
It'd be-
sense.
it'd be simple.
I'm pretty sure it should be able to work.
Yeah,
'Cause that's the,
safer.
And I also think
Yeah.
short-term, the church could be an option. It's worked out incredibly well for the day we do the distribution for Whole Foods.
how.
I mean,
Yeah, because it's like they
You
bring,
did that a few years ago.
Yeah,
the
we
food
used to-
pantry brings large bins.
yeah,
With numbers on them.
Yeah.
And they bring those bins in.
yeah.
And they transfer them into, don't they transfer them to something else?
They just take the bags out of the bins and,
Put them in people's trunks, right?
yeah, so, and
So the
there's
people
different,
don't even have to come
some
inside?
people pick up and then there's certain people that deliver. I think,
We have
George and Debbie Abbott deliver and Jim delivers. So why don't we just, do you think-
Investigate that first.
well, I feel like maybe we try it out for May.
Okay,
And see how it works, and if it's not you don't know until you try, but
I think it makes
It
a lot
just
of
feels
sense.
like there's only 2 or 3 spots for people to park there. And then you've
Yeah.
got more people
Yeah.
would we have to?
On
ask-
that
threatening their
day,
lives walking.
How
through
many
there.
people come? Is it 40 people? What would you guess?
I'm not sure.
Sometimes
I will find out.
Ish.
Yeah,
It's
10,
like 20
30?
people?
Maybe 20,
Okay.
Okay,
would we have to ask people?
but they're not all coming at once, cause we did have it staggered at one point. I don't know that everybody,
Follows, no,
follows it.
everybody's not.
no, but you try to at least.
A little bit. Do what you can.
Yes, but if like I said, the truck can pull right in there.
And it's only.
And what
That
time does
one.
it start? Does it coincide with the time we start a class? Cause maybe we could have the food
Stagger that.
pick up, be a half hour later, so that the class getting out isn't at the exact same time. Just some things like
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
While we're talking about the lower parking
I
lot,
just-
oh, sorry.
Well, on that particular day, could the staff park up top to have those other parking spots free?
Yeah, I think that the staff was not parking up top because they kept getting blocked in.
Yeah, so that was
Weren't
exactly
able to
what I
get-
was gonna
weren't able to
request
get out.
because,
So they know about the blocked in thing too.
yeah.
But could they, for that 2 hour period, just park up top? Cause it will give you more space down on the bottom.
I
Well-
think that's an easy ask.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing, because my painting class, they come with supplies. And, there's not a lot of spaces downstairs now, especially if the staff row is tied up, the handicap rows. It's like 6 spaces, maybe 5 or 6 left. So they're walking down with their
Mhm.
supplies, usually the driveway, or they come through the center. So I was gonna request that the staff try and park up in the back corner of the upper lot to provide access, easier access for the clients.
Okay. So shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay. So I have gotten in touch with the search committee again about the people that we need. And I've spoken with some people that I know. I haven't had much luck with that. So they are aware of. Oh, Richard is going to be leaving and we need to replace Pat. So we have 2.
Does anybody else have a term expiring this year?
I don't believe so.
I think all of us do, if I'm not mistaken.
I
I
do.
remember getting.
I just renewed.
Getting a.
Yeah.
No, I did renew because I got sworn in, but I think my term was.
It will be on the website.
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
I don't know if I got renewed,
So-
but I had to do the ethics.
Yeah.
Beth, are you saying you need suggestions for?
Well, if anyone has a suggestion, if you could ask them to go to the town website where the committee
Did you reach
listings
out
are.
to Lindy?
Huh?
You reach out to Lindy Boyney, who approached the board before?
No.
Her application is still there.
Well,
She went, I
the
think,
town procedure is for people to go to the website. There's an application there and they can
right,
indicate which committees they're interested in.
right,
And
she
then-
did all of that. She got to the.
And Elaine was selected, but she was still in the queue.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was in the queue, and I think she.
Right, and I had urged Elaine to please apply.
Right,
That's fine, I'm just saying.
right,
there
Lindy
is-
applied, she went through the whole process, so she's still in the queue, just,
She has indicated that she's no longer
oh, she has.
interested. Yes, I
Oh.
talked to her.
Okay,
A couple of months ago,
that's fine.
because they were interested in having her come on for this one,
Okay,
and they spoke with her.
Okay,
And she said,
okay.
was it Gail? Who's on the search committee? Well, Ellen Greer spoke with her, and she
Okay.
had said she wasn't. She was no longer interested in being on a committee.
okay. You know that.
Okay, then with the RTA, people have to get their paperwork in by September.
RTE,
RTE, yeah, I always get it.
What's RTE?
The real estate tax exemption.
residential.
Oh, residential
stuff, yeah.
exemption.
Yeah,
Yeah. By September.
yeah, whether it, and then if it passes, then it goes into effect immediately, pretty much.
Well, for
And so-
the spring,
yeah,
the fall
The fall.
tax thing, yeah.
So they want people to put their paperwork in as soon as they can. So I had concerns about our people wanting to have it done at the Council on Aging. So I had Dave, who's the chair of the assessing department, go in and discuss with Colleen Mercurio, the assessor. And I had him say how the older population is used to going to the Council on Aging. They're used to having their taxes done there. They used to having help filling out every form under the sun. They are comfortable there. They get rides there.
Mhm.
They're there all the time. And they trust people there. They don't know people in town hall, or they don't know people at the library. Some of them get rides there. I laid out every single reason under the sun. And he hasn't gotten a response. Oh, Colleen said, well, we're thinking of going there like 11 to 12 on some days. And I said, no, he has to call talk to Monica. They have to call and talk to Monica and find out when is good, because there's classes going on
Yeah, you
at
can't,
all different times of day.
It's gonna be scheduled and posted so people actually show up,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
thought they said it was gonna be at the senior center in a public meeting that I was at.
Library.
It's at the
they-
library.
I know it's at the
he
library.
was at the
Yeah,
library, and
yeah,
I had offered to
Yeah.
Colleen
yeah.
to do it at the senior center, and she
To
was like,
find a
"Oh,
time."
we'll see."
Can we get
Oh,
people
I-
rides to the library if we have to?
I think you're
I don't
right,
know.
because Adele
pretty
came
sure.
to me and I think she was at that same meeting and mentioned you guys are gonna be inundated.
Yeah,
Have you
So-
been?
I know
Have
they
you had
mentioned-
anybody call?
There's
or-
been a few people, I've had
Yeah.
them see Cindy about it, but, yeah, I
So-
think that.
I think there'll be a lot of interest if they think their taxes are gonna go up. We'll Probably,
yeah.
Is it a
Well, they always-
difficult form to fill out? I mean, is it?
You just gotta bring a lot of documents, and
So
when I brought mine in, literally, the person went through and made sure I had everything before I walked
What
out
are
the
the
door.
documents?
Yeah.
You gotta provide you have to
Proof
provide
resolution.
some, it's not just like a utility bill, you need to provide a page of your,
First page of your
Your
tax
your
return.
tax
redacted,
return,
Redacted.
your,
Right.
Oh, so
registration
driver's
from your
license,
vehicles.
front and back.
Okay,
those
so
are the
it's a
two big
lot.
things.
Yeah.
And they've gotta be current and everything
And for
has to be
people who
right.
don't drive, there's alternate things. and
Correct.
So,
Alternate,
yeah,
IDs,
so it's a
yeah.
bunch of
Okay.
things and a
Can't just go
form.
to the center and fill out a form.
Well, the nice thing is that once you walk away, you know it's right. When
If
you
you
go to
do
the
it.
town hall,
If you-
which I
yeah,
could
if you
do
do
that,
all
but
that
some
stuff.
people can't.
That's great.
And I get
So-
that.
I mailed mine.
Service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I've been
good.
urging, I've
Yeah, that's great.
really been urging
Them
well,
to do
true.
something through us, yeah.
Be simple.
through Dave Hobbs, candidate for the select board to do that, and.
Well, as
so far-
chair of the assessors.
And chair of the board of assessors.
Yeah,
Oh.
make it easy for people.
So I don't know how much,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't go with him when he does it, so I'm not sure exactly what he's
Yeah.
been saying, but I haven't had any luck so far. But I mentioned it again yesterday, and because he has a man cold, and he probably will die soon, and I
That was
probably
sexist.
should go and arrange
Services.
services. And you're all invited when he does.
But you're,
This man that went about a cold.
Oh, he was laying in bed like,
and you left him to come to this
when
meeting?
when I left.
You
This
left
is your
him?
husband?
Yes.
Oh, the derision, oh.
Okay.
And he asked for tea with lemon and honey.
Honey, of course, a
Honey.
little
So-
bourbon.
If he lives, I will ask him again.
What is the deadline, pardon the expression, what is the deadline for getting these forms completed? Like,
I think
what-
by,
September.
Oh, so there's
But
still
it's
time to
it's
put
yeah.
something in
but
place.
I would like them in as soon as possible, and I guess they've gotten quite a few.
Yeah.
This was a mailing and.
So
Yes.
maybe even if
Yeah.
it's like,
That I
you
have
know,
proofread.
once a month, there's someone there
Yeah.
until then, I don't know.
And even if you don't get it in by September, you still have, I think it's almost a year to get it
Right.
in. Now, you'll have to pay taxes at the higher rate, and then they'll give you a rebate. They have to set aside funds, and it's,
Yeah,
so
it
they're
makes a lot of
encouraging
work for
I'm
people.
afraid that they're gonna have
to
to
get
set
them in
aside as
early.
much as 200,000,
Right.
which they don't have in the budget, which they're going to have to take from something else. So it's a,
Yeah, if this is like anything else, the people that qualify for this, they're gonna see their taxes go up a little bit, and the ones that don't, they're gonna have a big bump, so it's not like you're gonna save anything, it's just that
Oh,
you're
it
not gonna
is.
go up
No,
as
no, no,
fast.
no.
no, it's tax neutral.
Right, so,
So at a certain point, right, people are gonna have to pay more.
correct,
Some
correct.
people, and other
And some
people,
people will
and
get a
we figured
reduction.
out that
You,
The
so some
lowest
people will
savings
get a
is gonna be-
reduction? Wow,
$15 a month for people who have a mortgage is the biggest saving.
Oh,
$15 a month?
Yeah,
I don't think that's quite right, but
well, we looked
Would
at the
The
rates.
savings for,
If you pay your mortgage,
oh, you're still paying a mortgage?
yeah, if you're still paying a mortgage and you put it
I
against,
see,
and you put your taxes that way, we think it's about 600, that's if it's at 5%.
if you're
It
more.
depends, there's different
Right.
percentages
yeah,
that they,
okay.
Interesting,
we
Anyway.
from this?
Yes, yep.
there you go.
I have a note here I don't understand. It says the numbers are wonderful regarding the growth of classes and attendance are wonderful. I have so many numbers. If anyone wants to see them, I will send.
Well, that's your statistic book.
I think this is something in here, but I don't know. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants to see numbers, I will
Not
send them.
really, we can do it.
I don't know what numbers they are,
I don't want numbers.
so, but if you wanna see some
We're
numbers,
good.
I'll write 1 to 10 on an envelope and
Yeah,
send them.
It's all good.
So that is it,
So Bev, I have a question about one thing you mentioned, and that was the UMass report.
yes,
So we're doing an update to see where we are against that plan, and the
Yeah.
plan is to present it to. whom?
This group first.
this
Okay.
group first. And I will send it out to everybody to review or preview what
Okay.
I'm intending to send, and if anyone sees grievous errors or things that they
Right.
think don't make sense.
Okay,
So this,
So-
and then the select board, is that?
Yes.
yeah, so that's great. I did want to bring up the transportation thing, because I think that was kind of glossed over by saying there was the library held a thing on public transportation, and so we're all.
Oh, and I also said that we have, I believe we've hired one more person. We have upped the rate that we are paying people to make it more attractive, and we have started paying, the volunteers we started reimbursing them for mileage.
Correct. So I guess the question is, how much is that impacting the amount of service we can provide? Like, are we increasing the number of people we're giving rides to, or are we?
We're not using volunteers.
Okay. I'll
So you're
take
not-
that up then.
So volunteers are not
Because
being
it's
paid
recorded.
mileage?
We're not using volunteers
To
for medical
transport
rides,
people.
To transport people, because we do not have
Got it.
the RSVP program is no longer. And that's where they were insured under that umbrella.
I see.
Um,
So it's uninsured now.
right.
Well, that's not good.
So I guess I would say, I don't believe transportation is a done deal yet.
It's not a final report. It's in
Okay.
draft.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
that's
and I
fine.
also included that we had contacted Nauset Newcomers to see if they could help us out, and they had indicated that they were not able to.
Great. So I do think when we're done, with it, and we'll approve it and then we present it, it would be good to do it to the town like we did the first time.
Yes.
And
agree.
show them the things we've made a lot of progress on, and also to the town to raise awareness about what else we need as a
Mhm.
senior center. Because things like access, which is, the whole physical layout and some upgrades and things, we're gonna need town support if we ever,
Yeah.
so.
And the
So it's just good PR to say, look, we
Yeah,
did this
the building wasn't
report.
included in the report, so that didn't get addressed because the building,
No, but I guess
so
saying that,
maybe
yeah,
include that.
but I think showing all the progress we've made and programs and younger people and, more class, all the things we're doing are great. And then I think we have an opportunity to say, but there are some things that we still need to address
Mhm.
at the senior center,
Yeah.
independent of the survey. And I think it would be, and get some community support around us.
Perfect.
Because,
Thank you.
the people who use us are all good, but there's, 60% of our town and a small number use us on a regular basis. So creating awareness is good.
I do think that we have addressed some of the transportation issues because, well, it's the community partners that you have,
Mhm.
whether it's the CCRTA and having those programs and inviting people to come and ride and do all that. And having someone come and give them their free passes and things like that. I think
Yep.
that addresses some
Some
of
of
it.
that, it does.
But what we're also doing is partnering with other agencies, like we're partnering with the Orleans Council on Aging with their day program. We are now, which we were not doing previously, we are now providing transportation. I'll have to look at the numbers, but I think it's at least 5 to 6 clients per week to the Orleans Council on Aging Day Center. So we're providing transportation to and from
Wow.
for those families.
Good.
And we're also providing transportation every Friday, which we weren't doing before, to the Alzheimer's Family Support Program at the mall.
So that's a daycare program that they're going to at the.
At
Sources,
the
at
senior,
Orleans.
so basically, I think it's 4 days a week to Orleans, Day Center, to
That's
the
great.
Council on Aging, and then on the 5th day, that Friday, we are transporting people to the Alzheimer's Family Support Program at the mall.
Great.
Um,
Is
Every week,
Wow,
every
yeah,
week.
Yes,
the model
wow.
that they come to the center and get on the bus, or does the
No,
bus
we
go?
pick them up at,
So it's like
at
a school
home.
bus, everybody gets picked up on the way.
They get
everybody
picked
gets
up.
dropped off.
Yep, and it especially, it gives it gives extra respite to the caregivers
Right.
because
The
they're not,
transportation.
the transportation, especially that Friday program, you've got a lot of time in between. So
Okay,
that
great.
part of the transportation issue has been, and we've also added extra transportation trips as far as local shopping goes. So it's not just the
Great.
Friday shopping where with there's added trips to Trader Joe's, and to, Market Basket, which is huge because it's a big savings for people as well.
Right.
So
That's
at
great.
Market Basket and also, local shopping in Orleans.
So it sounds to me, and I could be wrong, that you're
Yeah.
moving more away from the one-on-one model of getting somebody to a doctor appointment. And more, you're doing things for more people at once. Is that a good assessment?
Yes, with certain issues, there's still, with the, the medical rides
Right,
in
Still
general,
one-to-one.
that's still mostly one-to-one.
right.
But when there's, programming for, Alzheimer's or the day center or shopping and things like that, it's more.
So are you only scheduling those medical one-on-ones around the sort of bigger programs? Is that how it works? Like if I called on a Friday and said I needed ride for a doctor appointment 3 Fridays from now,
Oh,
But
we're
the
still
bus is-
we're doing it all,
simultaneously?
yes.
Okay.
And are you meeting that need? Are you, if people give you a reasonable notice, are you able to get them to their appointments?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And what do they do if you say no? Not their reaction. I mean, how do they get to the doctor?
Cape
I-
Cod cab or?
I think so. I'm not
You-
sure who they're using. Some people are still using Nauset Neighbors. So they still have that in their back pocket or or actual neighbors and family. There are, and cause Kathy's sort of taken it, so I would have to check with her on what she's doing.
So she's doing that half-time, right? Pretty much? That's
Yeah.
her.
Has
Yeah.
anyone used Helping Our Women, you know?
For transportation,
Because that's
not
pretty
Because they
much
do that.
what
Yeah.
they were founded for.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're a client of theirs,
Yeah, you have to sign up,
You have
but
to
they will pick
qualify,
you,
Yeah.
but their reason of being is for
Yeah.
taking,
Medical transport, right?
is
Yeah.
doing medical transportation for women.
Yeah.
they've expanded so much.
Yeah.
I know,
Good.
yeah.
You know, RTA now has their own little Uber service too.
Right.
Are we referring people to that?
Yes, so, I know that I have previously, so,
Great,
and
so it
I
sounds
will,
like lots of good
I
things.
can check with Kathy to see how much, she is promoting that for people, and maybe we,
Is it inappropriate? Cause I don't know how this does it. We used to do that. We would have staff people come to our board meeting to update certain types of programs, not only upon invitation, maybe once a year. Would it be appropriate to have Kathy come and
That's a
talk
great
to us?
idea.
Cause it sounds like it's very rich and maybe we could get more information about what's happening with the transportation program.
I can ask if you wanna.
You're still sort of overseeing it though, right? Or not? Or are you completely out of it?
Well,
Transportation.
Yeah,
no.
transportation, yeah.
for some things, yeah, I mean. But,
You have a depth of knowledge in this area, having been doing it for years, right?
right,
Still.
Yeah,
She's-
this is your deal. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it's so interesting, because what's getting my wheels turning here is, would it make more sense for the dollars that we're spending to make more referrals to this Uber type service and look at the Friends to maybe help us start a fund for people for who, I mean, what did they pay for a ride from the senior center? Somebody needs a doctor appointment, what are they paying you?
A lot.
Or paying some?
it's. From us, it's not a whole lot, I
Like
mean, it's
$15.
$20 to like Yarmouth and Hyannis.
Okay.
Flat fee per
Here's
town.
$10 to
Okay.
local, like
That makes
Brewster or
sense.
whatever.
So I'm just thinking, if this, the
I love the idea of a lot of people getting on a bus going to the same place. It just makes sense.
It's
and-
social.
Yeah,
it's-
it
Yeah.
checks a lot of
Sing camp
boxes.
songs and clap their hands.
No, it's
Exactly.
great that we're
But
doing
I
that.
also,
Yeah, like,
like,
innocent
I'd like to
innocent hand
kind of
clapping.
have a sense of how many of these medical appointments are happening. And could we have a fund through the senior center for people that have a financial need that, they could be using these,
We have,
that's,
there's two different funds. So we have the Tom Hocko Memorial,
Right.
which for, it's,
transportation.
yeah, for transportation. So
We know exactly how much that was.
Yeah.
And there's money in that fund.
there's plenty of money in that
Okay.
fund.
Yeah.
There,
So
because
use it.
there are times where I've encouraged people to use it and some do not want to.
Because of the cost, or they just are more comfortable with.
They want to
used to.
pay, they want to pay
Pride.
themselves, yeah.
Right.
Does that waive the money they would, the $20, the 15 and the 10? Is that what the Hocko fund does?
Yes.
Waives those?
Yeah,
amounts?
but we use that, for example, we used the Tom Hocko Memorial Fund during COVID. When we were not able to provide that transportation, we worked with Prime Medical and we used a lot of those funds to pay
get them.
for those rides. We had
Great.
an agreement with them.
Good.
So we were able to use it for that. There is also another fund called the Your Way Home Fund.
Correct.
However,
Those are always brought up together, the Hocko and the Your Way Home Fund.
so the Your Way Home Fund is the one is used for people that want to go to the hospital but may not go because they don't have a ride home.
Yep.
So this is the way they do that. However, the cab company that we partnered with went out of business at the end of March.
Oh, that's not,
So that's something, and it just gave me a thought with the RTA according to that. I don't know what their hours are, but is that something that they would be able to,
Okay.
to help with?
Right.
So I don't know.
The one thought I have as sort of a retired healthcare person is that the RTA can give people a ride, but they don't know them. They're not somebody, Jim puts his eyes on me and says, Linda, you don't look good today.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Or-
That RTA person isn't, well,
or you don't
somebody
look like
walk-
the kind of person that should be sitting on a bus.
but the RTA person isn't gonna know that you don't look as good as you usually look.
Right.
Where somebody, if we have the ability in our staff, and I don't know how you pick and choose that, to get people that are familiar with those those patients, those residents, to give them their rides. I just think it gives a little continuity and another little bit of a safety net.
Eyeball factor.
Yeah, eyeball factor is huge.
Yeah. Well.
So it's complex.
And that is how it works with our drivers. They do end up taking the same people and building relationships, and we have had people, whether it's driving or delivering meals, we've had people come back and say, so-and-so's doesn't look,
The house is trashed,
we
the,
follow up.
yeah,
That's great.
Okay,
Well, thank you. That was a great update, Monica. Really, a lot of good things going on.
okay. Elaine isn't here for the bylaw update. Carol, Elder Services?
Well, couple of things. First of all, for the packets for the restaurants for the donations, and this is for Meals on Wheels. They sent out to 18 of us that are on the board, and 7 restaurants came up that will be having their little packet for the signs and everything from May 6th to the 10th. And that's Brack's Landing and Harwich, Bridge Cafe in Buzzards Bay, Chatham Moods in Chatham, Kettle Hole in Katuitt, Knock on Pizza, Dennisport, Leo's Breakfast Restaurant in Buzzards Bay, and La Bella Vita in Orleans. I still have the packet. As I said, I don't feel comfortable doing it. I know it's a good cause and everything. It's for Meals on Wheels, and heavens knows what's gonna be cut.
So are they supporting that program, or are they
They
getting a
are going
portion
to
of their?
have, signs and little placards with a QR code on that they can scan and donate. Has nothing to do with the restaurant.
They just
These are
put
gonna
the
be put
placards on the
right,
tables.
on the door, someplace a sign with a QR scan and a little placard on a little, it's a stand-up kind of sign. that would go on the table. And
Oh, look at that QR code right there.
Yeah, there were a few more I saw in the newsletter
free
this
for
morning
meals.
that were added to that.
well, as I said, and it was supposed to be turned in by 2 weeks ago, and as I said, I was unable to do it. I was gonna bring it up at last meeting, but last meeting was cut. Also, the Title III grants and the B grants, their recommendations have got to be in by August 20th of this year. Priorities they're putting on for service for caregivers, in-home support services, tech education and assistance service, and reduce isolation, transportation and assistance, other innovative programs. And our next meeting is gonna be on May 6th, but it's sort of like an annual meeting that will not have any reports. They will have somebody talking as they did last year. I am unable to attend. I have a prior commitment to go to. And that's about it. Elder Service News came out. Cheryl was in pictures. And, yep,
That Sage thing, yeah.
The Sage event, they had a picture of myself,
Marianne.
representing the board, oh my God, Judy,
from
the
work-
COA director,
Orleans,
and
yeah.
another person from the COA, I did.
Or
so
Lee's
that came
folks,
out
yeah.
in the Elder
Yeah.
Service News
Yes.
newsletter.
So Carol, have there been any, palpable changes related to federal cuts so far?
They're coming.
They're coming.
Not
I
yet, so,
don't
so the
think,
answer is no, not yet.
not yet. I don't think anybody really knows. They're waiting for the next shoe to fall or bring. Also, as I said, I had to do the State Ethics Commission Conflict of Interest war. It was really easy this time. It wasn't even boring.
Wow.
And you get to print your own little certificate and it goes directly to town hall, that you don't have to bring it in.
Right.
And
Yeah.
do it.
Cause it was like a while between each question, and I found myself like,
Oh, well, I do other things then. I take the dog out.
You multitask.
Right, you
Yeah,
know.
it was definitely easier to do it.
Right.
Yeah, because you could just sit and go through it and
I
we were
know
done.
with the Title III grants and talking to Mary Ann that in the past, they have focused it on a lot of underserved populations that the current administration appears not to be supporting in the same way, but have it be their priority. And so, while they're putting out all this stuff, it's hard to know that when the time comes,
Yeah.
how will they be allowed to allocate the money? And I did have a question, did, so all the senior centers get notified of the upcoming RFP,
I
all
don't,
the Title III grants?
I do not know, because it might have gone to Dorothy's email.
Is she checking the email?
I don't know. Can I go online and should I?
Try to go online and, see, if not, you would want to contact Sarah Franey. It's my old job, that's my name.
Oh,
FRAN.
FRANEY. They've changed the title. But, and I can't remember that, when that's due. I looked at it, I'm like, I just don't know what we would do per se, but there is that grant opportunity
The
coming up.
Title III grant.
Title III is federal money that's given to the state that
And
they
B.
give to us.
It's Title III and B. Great.
Title III, B and C. C is, more to do with certain kind of programming, what's it called? Oh, the words escape me, the lingo. Demonstrated projects for dealing with Alzheimer's. and
So
stuff.
is
And a
this,
certain money goes to legal services, but there is some money to go to other places.
is this the one that, I think Dorothy has traditionally used for transportation?
No, she told me she uses the other money, the state money that you get per individual.
Right.
No, that's,
No, I
the
know,
block grant.
well, I know she uses a block grant, but I didn't know if she usually.
I don't
Yeah,
think
she
you've got
did.
this grant in the past.
Oh.
Last year you applied for some,
The
2 years ago
technology
you applied
grant.
for something and it didn't get picked.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
if the turnaround time is quick
Mhm.
and you need help, holler.
okay.
Or you
together.
may,
I will see, and I'll also check, I mean, I know Dorothy's coming, but I will check into it, but I
Yeah.
know that Dorothy's going to be coming
soon.
back. And, so
just find out when I don't know when the deadline is for the.
I will find out. I do have grant experience.
Well, they
so-
said recommendations by August 20th.
No, the recommendations for, sorry, that for
Okay,
August 20th is, you have to submit the grants, and then
Okay.
there's AAA Advisory Council,
right,
and they read the grants, and then, so they probably have to get their recommendations to the board for the board to vote on it, because they usually become effective
Mhm.
October 1st,
Mhm.
the federal fiscal year. So
Mm.
that's probably why we always had to get them in.
Mhm.
This is, before that, so the advisory committee.
Okay.
And I just want to mention from the pantry's perspective, Greater Boston Food Bank has let the Lower Cape Outreach know that they're expecting to see big cuts in the USDA programs, which affects
yeah, yeah.
Family Pantry of Harwich, who supplies much of our things. It's going to affect, the Eastham Food Pantry. I mean, it's going to affect everybody. So we're expecting to see a real decrease in what's coming through the federal government down to each location. So the state's gonna try and make up some of it, but I think we're gonna fall on local budgets too. You know, maybe the Friends, maybe there's other local things we can tap into, but I do expect that food access is gonna become a short-term major issue.
Okay.
Boston Food Bank believes that.
Can Easton do its own fundraiser?
Yep.
Or do we have to do it through Lower Cape Outreach?
We did one at Stop and Shop with Lower Cape Outreaches
Under their umbrella.
under their umbrella.
But it went directly to our.
That was after holidays, right?
It was last
The
summer
summer.
we did it, and it
Okay.
was astonishing.
Yeah.
Astonishing.
I gave money.
Thank you.
Is that something we should start planning now? To help the,
Well, I think we can do that through our food pantry.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think it'll affect the food programs at the senior center as well.
Yeah.
As they become, those grocery bags are not gonna be full of a lot of the items that we get today from USDA.
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I personally think it's something that the senior center should get involved in, and perhaps the Friends as well.
Yeah.
Because it's going to affect our population.
Right.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think one of the biggest things from my perspective in talking to the new people who've been coming in is the news, having inclusion, in the newsletter about the food pantry, letting every person who comes to the drive-through pantry know that
They can
that
also
there's
access.
add on to this. I
Yeah.
think the senior center can really help us get the word out, because,
Direct people to
Well,
where they
yeah,
can get more
This,
help.
I can also do I do e-blasts all the time for our program, but I can do informational e-blasts to people
Yeah.
too, and.
You know what, we
post-
will, maybe Paul and I can help you write one. Because like I know there's a veterans one coming up next week,
Yeah.
and just reminding people that there are different places they can get.
And they can use all.
Yes, they can use
Right.
all of them. They're not one or the other.
So the
So-
Elks,
Notice
that's
in the
one of the
bags.
Elks, right? The veterans.
Excuse me?
We're putting a notice in the bags help.
Well, that
Some
only
people
goes to a
don't-
small number of people, right? We're trying to reach people who don't currently use like the food pantry.
Yeah,
A couple times at luncheons, we actually recruited one-on-one to a few
Yeah,
people who
I
come
got-
to our
I
pantry.
got a lot of.
I know you did. And they're just so happy. We look after them, we're friendly, they
Yeah.
get additional food and they don't feel any stigma, but getting them there the first time is really a
It's
challenge.
tricky. It's
Yeah,
tricky.
Because the
Well-
seniors are very proud.
Well, even the meals that we get from Family Table Collaborative, there are times where we offer meals and people don't want to take it. They want it for someone. I'm like, no, said it's for everyone. And if anything, it just makes life easy. You don't have to cook tonight,
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
even if there's like a one sheet when things are being delivered to people, whatever, that you just pop in there.
Yeah.
In addition to.
Yeah, maybe we'll make a flyer too to have at the
Yeah.
senior center.
Just like,
yeah, if you guys think of anything.
Because
Like, I'll have to
the
help.
community refrigerator over at the health department, people think, well, I don't need it. But in fact, it's there for anybody who would like to pick up a meal here and then, or some fresh produce that's been donated to the town. It's not only needs-based.
people are dealing with a lot. They're stressed out or whatever. If it gives you a night where you can relax and take care of yourself. Like, that's how I sort of
And there are so many different programs around, so it'd be good
Yeah.
once in a while to send out a little reminder of
I
what's
know the
available.
Family Table Collaborative also has a refrigerator that's in the front lot, in the lobby when you walk in.
There at the
Yeah.
Family Table
Right.
Collaborative, yeah.
Oh,
But that's-
free, really?
That's in Yarmouth, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying it's,
Yeah.
you know, there are many
Oh, I
avenues.
didn't even know that.
Yep,
Yeah, so that, and that's a good thing. That, we did put something in the newsletter
Yep, we
a
did.
while back that listed just all of the
Yeah.
people, all of the places where you could
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
help.
there's a
for food.
lot of different, it's like a Venn diagram of different things that intersect, and don't intersect as far as food offerings go.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty complicated.
It is, and that's, we are aware of that, just based on our visitors at the food pantry, that they don't get.
Well,
like, all
some
of these
people think they
things.
need to qualify for programs.
Well, food pantry, they do have to
But
meet a
some-
financial.
Right, so, but like some that you don't have to, like
Right.
Family Table
exactly.
Collaborative is for anybody. There's no one's asking for your information.
And the food
You know.
giveaway that the seniors do at that church, I mean,
Yeah.
that is so popular.
The what?
The food giveaway from Trader Joe's and Whole Foods that our volunteers at the senior center do at
Oh,
the
okay.
church on Thursdays. It's unbelievably popular.
I was wondering if there's gonna be more of a emphasis on income verification for, in the current climate, because of the thoughts of waste, fraud, and abuse.
So USDA came out with a new policy that says we're not allowed to ask any of that anymore.
Really?
Yeah. We just have to ask them, do you fall within these guidelines? And if they say yes, we believe them.
Interesting.
There's gonna be less.
How new is that? Bob?
I
So no
got I got it in
documentation.
my email today from
That's-
Lower Cape Outreach.
That's pretty new.
Yeah, I think that's good though. But
We're
because-
not asking identifiable, they're asking way less personally identifiable information as well.
And that came from USDA?
That's
Yes.
that's shocking.
I'll send
That
you
is
the,
shocking.
Somebody's
can
about to
send
get
you-
fired, that's all I
I
have to
can
say.
send you.
Yeah, really, who sent that email out?
That's the
It's-
opposite
it's a-
direction. They're gonna retract that.
Parting shot.
No, I will forward it on to you all.
Well,
It's, yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say, the only thing we ask is, do they live in Eastham? And I point to a number and say, is your monthly or yearly income less than this? And it's often met with a laugh, like, yeah, way less.
Yeah.
So I
good.
think it's 36.
It's almost up to
How can
40 now
anybody
for a
exist on
single
36,000
person.
a year down here?
And then the
It's
number,
tough.
the number grows
Right.
with your
That's
dependents
tough.
and your,
Right.
but you know, you
The-
have somebody coming in making
poverty line here is
$50,000 a
under
year with 4
125.
kids.
It is?
It's
They're
unbelievable.
broke.
Then I'm in the property line.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous how much you need to live here. Anyway, all right,
So,
outreach and publicity. Paula and I had discussed stuff that's not really outreach and publicity, but
Yeah,
it's
we did.
magnificent nonetheless.
it wasn't really. Fueled by sangria, maybe? So we talked a little bit about and this goes back to the building idea of, you know, it just occurs to me walking in, that first impression needs an upgrade, in my opinion, to change. What are the volunteers actually doing? Have they been trained in what I notice is this, a big clog at the computer to check in.
Oh, yeah.
We're missing a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
who, like, when I stood there and I said, oh, give me your thing, I'll show you how to do it. I don't have a thing. Have you ever signed up? No, I haven't signed up. This was
You've been
at
through the
Jackie's
thing. You've been through
presentation.
the thing. They lose the thing.
I think we need to consider a way to make that front entrance more inviting. It's, you can walk in there, it feels very quiet, and you don't know, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Or if there is a program, you know, greeting somebody, come on in. I'd love to see a volunteer. It's great we have volunteers, but let's engage them to engage our people. And maybe by giving people better sense of where you're supposed to go. I mean, I don't know what's there right now.
We have a
When you
greeter
walk
there?
in, there's sometimes there's a table. Sometimes the greeter sits behind the table, which just
It's still a greeter there. I think that's okay.
aesthetically, I know, but it just,
Yeah.
I think we could do
It's a-
something to lighten
greeter.
and modernize and
Yeah.
sort of
it's a-
have that.
So when we
hello
have,
factor.
so it's not just like on a day-to-day where we have, say, Eleanor sits there on Mondays and she like, She is very engaging, with.
But she
There's
does-
people-
but she doesn't, and I've asked her if she would please remind people to chat, to log in.
Yeah.
She chats with them, but.
Yeah,
But she doesn't, I said, that's
But
really
That's
important.
half the battle.
maybe for those programs, if we can get volunteers to sort of be greeting people as they come in and showing them where to go and things
Mhm.
like that. So that's what
Yeah.
you're,
I see that and I just see the environment itself. What can we
Yeah.
do? Is it like, I mean, I know lighting gets into, which is sort of hold until we find out what our process is, but
Mhm.
making it more inviting, less restrictive. Just, I mean, how many times is, I've seen people fumble over there by that door. Like, oh, Lord, no, that's not a
Yeah.
door. And if it's not gonna be a door, what can we do with a banner?
there needs to
Or-
be signage.
Yeah.
That's-
Sign-
Or a
But I
banner.
would think that that's what Dorothy had put in a list of
Mhm.
things to John roughly of things that need to be done, that can be done now before
Right.
we get into everything. But I think signage was one of those things that she has requested,
Yeah,
so.
but we were talking about, it needs to look like it's a fun place to be.
Right.
Not, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I think it looks more like a funeral parlor.
No.
Yeah, well, it's just, you don't get that joyful sort of walk-in, I mean, and
Yeah.
obviously we're not.
One of
gonna
those
make
things
it look
outside
like-
that's doing this?
Yes.
We're not gonna make a
Could
hotel
you do
lobby
that?
out of
Looks
it,
really good.
but we
No.
can look at what a hotel lobby
You got the
does
job.
that brings
No, they
us
gotta
in.
be
Is
30
it
feet.
light,
Yeah.
is it people, is
Put
it
you up.
furniture?
Yeah.
Put
I
it
mean,
on a pedestal.
It's that,
Absence of light.
that space, the design of that space
It's
is
terrible.
just, it is.
It wasn't meant to be that.
No.
That's, so
No.
how do
Right.
we, so I would just like to look at how we just take that first minute experience, because the feedback that, I mean, obviously I've observed this.
Yeah,
But then the feedback is like, well, there's nobody there. And how do I go in and talk to somebody? Like, how does that all work?
Right.
And so it's,
So, I mean, you have to really like walk around to see if you're in your office, because you stand, the
Yeah.
computer's there. You can't even tell if you're there or not,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like Orleans, when you walk in, there's like that your office for, just say it's not your office, but it's
There's a
glassed
45,
in.
Yeah.
It's glassed in and people are,
Yeah.
that are at tables facing into the lobby area, so you can
Right.
see someone's there.
well, they have a reception area.
I know,
Yes, they were very.
You don't
Right.
have a
I
reception
agree, I
area.
agree,
Yeah,
but,
maybe it's just,
Receptionist,
but if the
Yes,
person,
yeah.
and you're not the receptionist.
no,
No, she's got a job.
we're not talking about her, but we're
Right.
talking
but
about
it's
the
everybody's
physical.
job to welcome people coming in.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't go
Yeah.
for closed doors in offices don't exist anymore. It's
Right.
an open, people have to have, people don't
Right.
even have a desk
Right.
anymore. You go in with your backpack and you take your coffee and you go sit over there. I think, I just envision something much more open, because
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
dark
Yeah,
and it's not welcoming.
yeah.
It's not welcoming. And I
And I
think.
always think the furniture looks like we took it from some dead person's
It
house.
does.
You did.
We did.
Did.
It
I was
got,
gonna
well,
say,
the new
that's very
chairs are better
perceptive.
than the old chairs. There's
And
some
that
new
makes,
chairs.
just those kinds of things I think make
Yeah.
a big difference. Clutter-free, the computer thing set up, every single person who comes in, can we empower volunteers to be able to set somebody up with that card?
They only have to use their phone number too. I mean, they
Right.
don't need
Yeah.
the
You put
card.
in your name and
Can
phone
we,
number.
right, can we make that happen? Because, if we say, oh, we'll catch you on the way out, we're not gonna catch them on the way out.
No.
You gotta
No.
grab them when they
Yeah.
come in.
This
And
is hybrid.
there's no reason to have to put in your first name, because we look them up by phone number anyway. We could take a step away.
That's probably can be done in the
On
back
My Senior
office
Center.
on. My
I'm sure it
Senior
can be.
Center.
Because you
Yeah.
type in your first name and there's a million Jones, I mean, surprisingly,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't even like
But
give you a
yeah.
list of Jones. It just says, okay, now
Well,
type in your phone.
It's very cumbersome and I brought this up at the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, and it was like I was behind 2 other people that were checking in and they're going like this. And they're at the screen for like a minute and a half, and then the 2 or 3 people behind me are like, and they
Go
just
in.
walk in.
And
But
they
is
never,
it an
and you lose them
age-related
then, you
thing?
never.
So a lot of times with those
About
larger
people.
programs, maybe we just don't have.
Well, I mean, you know how
Well,
many
the thing
people
is, when
register.
People
for this.
register and I already have them in the system. They're already in there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just the people that haven't registered that would check in, but you would need someone there. Oh, have you registered?
Mhm.
You know, and then you don't have, oh, you have it, can you please go check in? But
I think that's a good idea. Like my painting class, right? I have 10 people registered and then on a given day, 7 come because they've got other things going on and that's fine. But I would count that as we have 10 people signed up to take painting because that's,
yeah,
you know, and so I try and get them to check in and they're getting much better, but
yeah.
I don't think we need that stat that they physically came that day and checked in.
Do they pay tuition?
No, I do it for free because I volunteer my time.
Okay.
They don't have to pay for my class, but
Okay.
It's nice.
yeah, just because
But anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're partway there having volunteers, but I think we need to tell the volunteer what their role is. And it certainly is to make people feel welcome when they come in the door.
So when you get a new volunteer, right, and
Yeah.
talk,
We haven't gotten one
I
in
know.
a long time
Okay.
for
but
the front desk. It's not something that appeals to people.
Not a high priority. list.
Well, if they thought that they had a role, if they understood that this was a vital role, we're looking for the chatty Cathys and the people who are comfy with technology I mean, I can even use that thing. I mean, I get it. So
Yeah.
maybe recruiting specifically for that role. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
maybe if
think-
there was something else they could be doing
Right,
while they were sitting there.
right.
If you had any important little,
paperwork things.
yeah, paperwork.
I've talked to people and they'll say, well, what do you have besides that?
Yeah, it's boring, it's cold and freezing in the winter when that
Yeah,
door
Oh,
opens.
because you're right there.
They'd rather do anything than that.
Trust me, my office is there, the door opens and it's a cold blast.
That's why they don't want to.
This is no double door there.
We could do a double door
Yeah.
easily.
Um,
On the ramp,
but I
you just
agree
add
with you,
another door back.
something has to change.
Something
But
it just makes
I think
people
getting
feel
more
welcome.
people to people is a plus.
Yeah.
That's a real plus.
Getting more what?
So
Oh,
like
yeah.
when, maybe the announcements that go out when they register, just asking the question, do you have a sign in?
They all get them, they
If not,
just want
please stop at the desk.
Well, a lot of times people just don't keep them on them.
They're
Yeah.
Or they're
Right.
using their
Yeah.
CVS card. If we
Do
could.
you know
have
if
it
your library card doesn't work there?
combined, Stop and.
I have put my library card there so
Here's my
many
gym card.
times. It's
Yeah.
like, duh.
It should
I
just
use
be
my
all
phone number.
I do too.
So,
It's
and
like,
if there's
just
one,
one-
Mostly I just put my
one
phone
other
number in.
thing that I wanted to add when I came to the meeting with Jackie, which I think is a great idea, if we can start having those. Is it possible for either you or Monica to come in and introduce the guest? Just introduce them, just,
So there
because,
should be someone
there
that
was-
introduces, okay.
yeah,
John's role.
Well,
John-
that's what I
John
was
usually
thinking,
does.
yeah.
from the center,
So
to just make
there
that
should be-
initial introduction.
Yeah, there
Because
should be.
There was somebody.
John usually does that.
Yeah.
Because he's setting things up.
So
Yeah, John does do that.
what I used to do, my old job, I used to run programs all over. So part of it is an introduction, but also letting people know we have this program coming up or
Well, that
whatever.
was gonna be my next.
So just different, just a little, or it's, thank you to the Friends of the
Yeah.
East Hampton
For
Council on
sponsoring this
Aging for
program.
sponsoring the
Right.
program and
Show
blah,
your
blah, blah.
support by joining.
So I think
Something that
that,
they do.
I
I
just
think
had
that's-
a little lady next to me.
I-
They very loudly go, who's that? When Jackie started talking, I'm like,
that's what you came to see. Oh, well, yes.
Oh my God. Dave
Eleanor?
took home-
Coffee and cookies.
We
yeah, so
know.
I just
What?
think,
I
I just
think-
think
Write
it's
down
such a
some
warm
calendar.
touch.
Those are things that we can do easily, right?
Right.
So an introduction,
Right, it's just
Make-
the, it's
just for
the,
friends,
it's the
just for
welcoming
What
mojo
was the
that,
big
that I think,
It was those little
is
little
the
patches,
key.
and I was like, "What's going on?"
those are,
When is she gonna
those
eat
I
tonight?
think are easy things that we can fix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
I do too. And,
And maybe if a member of the board is there and you can't do it.
Yeah.
so something like the money we have left in the project refresh or Operation Refresh, I mean, I think a lobby upgrade or something would be a good use of those funds,
Yeah.
right? The way to.
A great
Yeah.
banner,
Welcome.
whatever, I don't know, just.
A little more lighting.
Draperies, I don't know,
And,
something,
and we
something.
could have a second door coming into the center to have to block the air. You could definitely have a second glass door.
Should be there. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh,
Yeah, I think.
Like we do downstairs, right?
Yeah.
There's the two There's a little ante room and then the,
Or maybe
that-
if things are rearranged so that you're not right in front of the doors.
yeah, and we should find out if by code we have to have that, the old main entrance there, because we have lots of other exits through the place, right? I mean, right.
The point I'd
Maybe
like
we
to
could
make,
get rid of that, we could turn it to a window or something so that you could put a little reception desk in front,
Right,
because we can't block it now with anything permanently.
right.
But anyway, those are things that we should look at and after we meet with Christine.
Okay.
and what I'd like to add here is that that's where it starts. And I think we need to keep the message undiluted. I think we need to go at this in a very focused way, because I think what happens with the town, what I've seen in my time on this board, is when we come at the town with a bunch of stuff like this, the ears close and nothing gets done. So I think it should be very focused.
Punch list.
Well,
I think it should be very focused and undiluted.
Yeah,
Not like, what are we gonna do about transportation and can we do it? No, none of that.
that's
What do
not
we-
their
We
job.
want a window
What-
instead of the door in the front. We
What are
want.
we doing with the building? And this is what we wanna do.
there, like I said, there is that list of things that Dorothy has put forward, so, I just, and
We'll meet with Christine and see how we propel it forward.
All right,
Okay, so.
Linda, do you have anything on volunteers?
No, last month, so sort of the newest project is getting assistance in setting up for the, lunch with friends. Last month, we hit a bit of a snag
Yeah,
in that there were no guys there. Those tables are very big and very awkward. Is Jim gonna be there next Wednesday?
I can never guarantee because
Okay,
that's his
so
hiking,
I'm-
so if.
Yeah,
it
so
runs
I'm gonna
late,
work and see if I
timing.
can specify, Eric unfortunately's got a meeting. Specify that I need a couple of, big, strong dudes
okay.
or
You know something?
dudettes.
I put that in the last minutes, and it got corrected. It's
Well-
like, no,
well-
both men and women help. and
Well,
like
both men and women do help. The tables are the issue, and hopefully we'll get new
Tables
tables
are
that are,
always the
that are
issue.
gonna be.
Check in with Cindy on that. And see if you could. She seems to feel that she has some ownership in setting up the tables and volunteers. Could you just
I can do that.
check in with her?
Mhm. Okay, so anyway, so I have a list of people that have been vetted, and have signed a waiver. And so I do a group message, which I will do today after I want to talk to you first, that we need, and I will make a point of saying, please note that there will be a need to you guys to work together to get those tables out, so people aren't all of a sudden surprised by that.
Yeah, because those tables are very heavy.
They're very heavy and they're very awkward, so
You know,
I'm
they're on
hoping.
that stand and they gotta be rolled off. and-
Exactly.
So I'm hoping that there's a couple of guys on them, on the
DPW.
list that, no,
that-
because there's not much time between, there's a class and then you have to immediately set up, and DPW seems to not be available
I
to do that.
participated several times in
Correct.
take down and set up of that
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
That
And
those are
it's,
heavy.
it's the timing thing, you know, if they have it, it's just on a quick turnaround.
Yeah, the
It's
hip
not-
class, the band's class gets done at 10:45 and then the setup starts immediately.
So are you getting the volunteers are from the HIT class typically?
Well, that's where I recruited them from. I basically just made an announcement and people signed up. I put the paper on the piano and that's where I got them.
That's good.
So
Yeah,
I've got
Jim
volunteers.
helps out with the lunch with friends, the takedown of the tables. So
Yeah.
usually, when I used to do that, I used to help him with that. And then Linda is there,
Little Linda,
little Linda.
yeah,
Yeah,
Grow-
she-
Growy,
Grow.
yeah, she's
Yeah, she-
amazing.
yeah, she usually is part of that crew that does that too.
Yeah, so anyway, so I'll make it clear and I send out, Monica sent me a diagram of the layout so that people can see where the tables are gonna go. So
Nice.
But I'm the one who complained last month because I was the only one who signed up
To move the
to
tables?
move, to do everything. And then I went to the kitchen and they said, oh, we don't have to do that, there's a setup team. And I said, yes, you're looking at her. And then I said, well, there's supposed to be someone to help with the tables, because I've always been told by Cindy and Jim, no, let us pull the tables out. And then a couple of you can roll them and set them up, but it's exactly what you say, Rick, getting them out of the stand is extremely difficult.
Cause there's a drop off.
And I won't do the tables, I'm telling you that.
can break a foot if
it's
you're not
too
careful.
Dangerous, you're gonna break your foot. or you're gonna hurt your back because you have to lean into the closet, pull them off the
Boy,
stand.
time for new
It's
tables, huh?
dangerous.
Yeah.
And
It
my
was
suggestion,
years
Oh my
beyond.
and my suggestion
when
was
during
that there's a
COVID, when we had
reminder email
programs
and a
up on
sign up list,
the
and
deck,
that didn't go.
and
on.
I was
We rolled
rolling.
I helped roll the lunch,
So I
I
did
know,
ask for that.
Yes, and Jim does hiking and he's not back.
but we
He's
have
not
the
back.
money, so, I mean, that should be something that we could get done.
Yeah, that's one of the, that's on a high.
It should be like number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
The chairs are not a big deal,
The
but the
chairs are
tables are an
easy.
issue.
They're
I
good.
think the prices have gone up since we started looking at them.
You made it in China.
But our town capital expense budget, I mean, we have like $50,000 or $60,000, we can buy a new table.
Yeah.
But that's the big issue, is the tables.
Yeah, they're big and they're heavy and unwieldy.
Cheryl, do you want to present on it?
I'll start and, just, if people see that, I mean, I'm just, this would have,
I have the copies on my desk.
it doesn't matter because it's Friday. These were really for March, but
Oh, no.
just, the other thing I'll
cool.
pick up from you,
Yeah.
it wasn't for today. It was for the meeting night
yes,
thing.
Bingo.
Anyway, so we have over 40 people signed up to go to our Pride game night. It's this Friday at the senior center. And,
5,
so
bingo,
we're looking
No,
for
it's
it
all games. It's a
to
game
do
night.
that.
no game.
I thought it was last week.
No,
And
it's
I
coming
guess
up
the
Friday.
one thing I wanted to throw out is we are doing a Pride tea at our monthly coffee on June 2nd. And it's gonna, and you'll see in the newsletter, it's open to all people 55 and over.
So it's really a high tea
It's
in
a high tea.
celebration of Pride.
Pride Month.
So it's not exclusively a Pride event.
No, in fact, we're hoping to have a lot of allies there and, we don't make this request very often, but if board members could attend.
Where's that gonna be?
We're gonna be at the senior center at 2 o'clock
Senior Center.
on,
2
on June 2nd. That's a Monday.
It's my birthday.
Oh, it's my mother's birthday too, bless her, so,
My
and,
niece's birthday.
I'm not dead yet. Soon.
and it's gonna be fun, and Paula's help is joining in, she's got us some, wonderful, donations for tea and.
And we're
Oh.
collecting teacups and saucers if anybody has any to loan.
So it is Celebration of Pride Month, and it's open to all seniors. And,
How are you going to advertise this?
well, it's in the newsletter,
In two
Okay.
places.
in
Right,
2 places in the newsletter.
Okay.
I have my regular mailing list, and it will be posted on Facebook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some flyers we can put up around.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
there'll be
yeah.
flyers,
Yeah.
and we'll have all that set
And
up.
where's the
I'll
game
just
night?
E-blast.
Senior center.
That's at the senior
Do
center.
you ever find, have we ever tried, personalizing invitations to all, town employees? Letting them know that this is going on? Just getting people in the building, particularly the people that we're gonna be talking to about refresh and all of that. I just think it's good to bring people in the building and see what it is, what it looks like. But I guess it's for seniors.
We're trying to focus it, we
On-
decided not to open it to all residents,
Okay, so.
so this is
just
really a
seniors.
55 plus event,
Okay. Good
to
to know.
anybody 55 plus.
Okay. Okay,
And it's not limited just to Eastham folks either.
terrific.
But I do hear what you're saying, because I am gonna talk to Christine. I want to approach Jackie and ask her to make an appearance. At least at the beginning, to say welcome, and this is Pride Month, and
Yeah.
we all need to, something very, very, very basic.
Good.
So anybody who wants to volunteer and help us, Paula and I are on that committee.
Or if you just wanna come,
Sip tea.
for high tea, and I think it'll be
Eat
fun. and-
cucumber sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches?
Well,
I don't know
tea
yet.
sandwiches.
With the
Tea leaves?
pinky out.
And we're gonna encourage like fancy hats and dress up if you want, or your pride attire or anything. So
Yeah.
we wanna make it a fun event.
Right,
You
and
know?
I'm gonna be at the, Cindy's outreach
Fair,
Oh,
healthcare.
Fair.
yes, on Main.
on May 9th. We're gonna have it's called Eastham Pride Table. And we're gonna have flyers for that,
Yep.
to promote the tea. And we'll also have flyers to promote the, Outer Lower Cape Pride Weekend. And, so, cause I think that's a good place to promote the tea to the general public.
Mhm, it is great. place.
And I guess if I can just, for a minute, the last time we had this meeting, I remember talking about the youth and everything, and I was saying I was afraid for our youth, but I wasn't afraid for myself. And the reason I wanna talk about it is when Joan is really good about posting on Facebook. And the last time when she posted, she got one person really pushed back on why was it a
Why was it just?
community only event? And other people who I don't even know pushed back a little bit, but
Jumped in support of us having.
in support
pride
of us
events,
having
right?
this.
Okay, yes.
And I have to say, and for me, what's going on is beyond, it's not a political situation that's going on. And I take back that I am no longer afraid. And and so I think it's important, you know, at times to have activities. It doesn't matter what group you may want to hang out with, that's the group you're hanging out with, that you can feel safe and that you can feel celebrated, but mostly feel safe, because for many of us, again, not just the community, we aren't feeling safe for a lot of different reasons.
There's a lot of anger, and it's not just anger, it's rage. And yesterday on a bike ride, I had two separate people, one in a truck and the other one on a motorcycle, scream and yell at the top of their lungs because a driver let a group of bicycles cross, and they were outraged that the bicyclists didn't stop at the stop sign, even though they were being waved on by a driver.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm talking about screaming and using foul language. I mean, it's rage. And it's rage pointed at anybody who doesn't fit their little worldview. Cyclists don't fit their worldview. Gay folks don't fit their worldview. You know, that's the way it's going.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it.
Right. I think there are people who feel empowered to send their ugliness and their hate out into the world now.
Oh, it's been legitimized.
Yeah,
You're a
and
patriot.
encouraged.
Yeah, you're a patriot.
And-
So the bottom line is, gotta be very careful.
Yeah,
Right. So I just say that what you all are supporting and the friends,
So important.
really makes a bigger difference than even, I think, when we thought about it a year ago.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Do you know what I mean? Cause when we get together for coffees and everything, we try to have it fun and this, but it doesn't go without at some point, somebody sharing their anxiety or
Yeah.
something. And it's
Yeah.
real. This isn't made up.
People actually being targeted and yelled at and stuff?
Oh, that's not new.
Yeah.
No, but more.
No, but people who were.
Fear of travel, fear of this, you know what I mean?
Fear of travel's a
legislation.
big thing
Yeah.
too.
Right,
And people who were very out about, being part of the queer community are now taking down their flags.
yeah.
They're taking bumper stickers off their cars because they've.
I think that's wise.
Well,
It sucks.
I just don't think you wanna be targeted.
Yeah, but I also think you have to you have to be who you are.
Right.
And it's not a comfortable thing to suddenly have to hide that,
Right. So anyways, I just basically
Same high.
it's.
wanna thank you all because this,
it's
you
a-
know, 40 people, but it will provide a haven for people
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yep,
And if you
and
have
we've
some
drawn,
allies at the tea in June, then that just shows people that
Right,
their
and that's what,
community is supportive.
but it's really what we want is, for the T is pride in all of us.
Right.
It's pride in community, it's pride in
taking care of each other.
taking
Yeah.
care of each other.
So,
And
message.
who knows how to party more?
yeah, really.
I have
That
to
is
say.
true.
I know how to party.
These events have been incredibly successful.
Right,
They really have.
Awesome.
I mean, and we have a great little
You guys
committee
have
of
put a lot
members.
of work into it.
Members of our group who are the social committee,
yeah,
and they help plan all these things. It's not just Cheryl and me,
but anyways, thank you.
Amazing.
Did you
Well,
wanna add
also,
anything
thank
else?
you.
No, I think that's great. Thanks.
Yeah, I have a family friend who has two children. The oldest has autism and the younger one is trans. She is so frightened right now about what's happening in the world. That
Oh, they're targeted.
it's horrible.
Socially trans
No,
people,
both
they're
of her kids,
targeted.
both of her children are being targeted.
Yeah.
And the older one, I think, is 19, and the girl is, the trans person is 14 or 15 and in high school.
You see the thing with the state of Maine with the governor?
Yeah.
Did you see that whole thing?
Yeah.
God bless her.
Holy mackerel.
State of Connecticut just did it too. They're not gonna adhere to
And the
anything.
school system in the state of Maine, she was on an interview and she says, there's 2 trans people in the whole state of Maine that are competing on.
Yeah.
On athletics. This is not a big thing.
All right.
Well, and the only other thing is I would encourage people, if they can, on June 14th, which is when Lower Cape Pride is gonna have a parade,
Yes,
to come out and support us. You know, you can march in support of the community, you can be stand by and watch,
Where's it gonna
but
be?
June 14th,
Is it the 14th or the 15th?
14th, I think the parade's the
That's also
14th.
Flag Day.
It is.
I was, it is.
Yeah, Saturday.
That'll
the
piss
parade?
people
So
off.
the parade, the parade will start where, so it was supposed to be where Bella Vita
Good
is,
thing.
but
flag is a
that's
flag
all
too.
torn
No,
up.
I-
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's gonna go on Main Street to the Artist Cottages. So it's but the town
Yeah.
is shutting down the road and there's groups from all over the Cape
That's
who are
so
gonna
cool.
be there. And so, if you feel comfortable marching with us or in support of your friends and or just coming out to, wave us on as we walk by, cheer for us, I think that would be great.
Yeah, we'll have more information and pass on at the
Yeah.
next meeting.
awesome.
Yeah.
Karen, would you like to
Oh, nice.
say anything?
The friends are here.
Yay,
As
Karen.
you all know, I'm acting as acting president.
Thank you, thank
Would you
you.
like to get up? And
No.
No,
No, no,
Okay.
no.
As of April 5th, and I took that to the board, and that was approved on April 16th. We accepted the resignation, and I moved forward. And I've spent the last 3 or 4 weeks connecting with everyone, Bev, also with Mindy, also with Angela, with a number of people, on all the different things that are going on. And I want to celebrate, though, for this year, all of the accomplishments that actually our former president did and got us through. Mindy came in, with myself and Eileen onto the board when we had no one else wanting to step up.
Mhm.
And our first goals that we set were to say, okay, we gotta figure out what this entity is. We gotta look at bylaws, we've got to establish policies and procedures, because none of us knew how this worked. And I'm glad to say that we are bringing revised, updated bylaws to the annual meeting for approval. We are about 95% done with a policy and procedure manual. The piece missing is the piece with the director of the COA, Dorothy, to understand how the request for funds comes to us, what the timeline would be, because last year we didn't actually get that process done until September, October, which means we can't get our budget done, which is supposed to start on July 1. So sitting down and saying, okay, how do we make this doable, would be something that we'll work with Dorothy when she gets back and gets some time. I realize she's gonna have a lot on her plate initially. So policies and procedures, the bylaws, and then, getting the website, we're getting there, working with Angela, finishing up. I thank you for some of the input. I understand that you, Joan,
Me.
you
Yeah.
did, you
Yeah.
helped, and
Yeah.
yes, and so I sat with Angela, we're working on that, we're gonna get get what we have up, and then we can build from there. Our goal is to eventually have our policies and procedures online, so our board members can always go in and access it. We're gonna have like the thrift shop policies and procedures for their volunteers, that will eventually be on our website for access. Those things will probably happen in our next fiscal year, getting all that stuff done. Working with you on access, big priority for me. So I would be glad to help in any way that I can for the access piece.
Physical access to the center.
Physical access. to
It's
the
always
center.
been an interest of yours.
It's a very big interest for me. The other interest with Bev is archiving the history. We have a lot of people like Sandy Sedlake, Pat Riviere, Joanne Irish, people that were really played a huge role in getting the center and the Friends group going. We need to capture the history. And working collaboratively with Marka Daly at the Eastham Historical is a great collaboration. We know that she's busy in the summer, so we're gonna do this one now in the spring. And then in the fall, winter, we'll come back with some more names and people and ask them would they like to be videoed. I think if we can get that history, done. Now, my last thing is future. I went to the talk with Jackie. I've read all the past town reports and all of the surveys that have been done and don't understand some of the consequences and want to work with the timeline that the town has. We know eventually there needs to be a new senior center because it looks like they're gonna use that for housing. Looks what I'm seeing is.
That was the
makes
plan,
housing.
that was the model.
That's the model that so far has been presented, so I'm just living with whatever are the facts for now. We'll probably have a piece to play in that as a Friends, just like the Biffy group, I think it was called, did for the library, where the library went out for the grants. The town was doing the library, but the Biffy group had to raise, I think it was $1 million at that time. So one of the things I'd like to do is we're gonna have a finance committee sit down and look at, because we have some accumulated funds, but we wanna start to earmark these funds, because eventually, if we do move towards a new center, we're going to have expenses that the town's not gonna meet and that grants aren't gonna meet. So kind of looking at long-range planning with you in this group and saying, okay, we all work together to know, what the town's thinking and where we're going, because the timeline that was presented by Jackie at the meeting showed septic like 2029, 2030, and then tea time like another 4 or 5 years out, so 10 years as Bev said. But that time goes by fast. The time goes by fast, and I know in a project I did in Western Mass, it took us 12 years to raise the funds we needed to do. And so starting early is only a benefit. It's only plus, and I agree, getting people into that building, townspeople of all ages to see what it's like, that's really gonna be important. When I was looking through some of the archives in a scrapbook that I found at the senior center, they used to do an annual open house to the entire town. With,
Oh, interesting.
yes, and so I really think that is something we should consider and think about. The more people get in the building and see what it's like, the better, they'll support something coming down the road. So that's sort of where my hat is right now. I'm still struggling to get it all together.
Great energy.
Absolutely. Great.
So when is the annual meeting?
Our annual meeting will be on May 14th.
May 14th.
And the volunteer luncheon will be June 16th.
Is that volunteer for the COA or?
The volunteer is
yours?
technically the COA, and Dorothy and Monica, they've got that all planned. And I'm pulling together the piece for the Friends annual meeting.
And that's it.
Working on that agenda.
That's a luncheon as well, isn't
It's
it?
also a luncheon, yes. Yes, not as fancy, but they're getting VRs, I think, for,
Yeah,
right, they're getting VRs, but we're getting.
Yeah, that's a good, you don't gotta come to that one.
Sam's Deli, maybe, is that what it is?
I think so.
I think it's Sam's Deli.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be still good.
That's ongoing, is that the thrift store is going to be moving
Yes,
from the current location, and we believe it is going to be going over to the old bike store, the old Idle Times building.
When,
no
And so
timeline
that,
yet.
we don't have a clear timetable, we don't have.
I love
Jackie
the
said it was
tree.
A little delayed.
The-
She's
the-
doing
I
it
talked to
not
Jackie
this
and I
year.
talked to Rachel.
Right.
We have to go to town meeting, get the CPC funds approved. That's number
Okay.
one.
Right.
Then they'll come back. They have to do the RFP. They
Right.
have to go out, so they have to figure out, accept the
Yeah.
RFP. That has a time frame that takes sometimes several months. I
Yeah, it
mean, it's not as quick as we think.
So they cut most of the branches off the dead tree, but they left like an 8-foot cross.
It's gonna be a
I
totem
don't
pole,
know
I
what-
think.
I have nothing to do with the tree.
I like this.
But I
Don't
didn't
get
know if
involved
they
in
were
the
going
dead
to have to
tree.
pull up the stump, because often
I feel like
they pull the
bringing my
stumps, they want
chainsaw.
something to grab
I know,
onto.
it'd be quick.
But I have no idea
would be.
about the tree.
It'd be way quicker.
I just let it be.
Doing it at the thrift shop.
So far, we're right on target
Right.
for this year. The treasurer's report in April 16th meeting was that based on the request for funds and the money coming in, things look good. So that's a
Great.
plus, and so we're gonna continue to monitor that.
Nice.
So,
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well,
and whenever we get to move, Jackie's assured us that the town DPW will help with the move. So I think that'll work.
And the
Great.
Board will help you.
Yeah, the board will help, well, I need everyone to help.
So realistically, it'll probably be next,
It could be as early as this winter,
yeah,
but
it's not gonna be in the summer.
who knows with the town
No.
and what,
No.
no, we can't
Mm-mm.
shut down and move in the summer.
No.
Yeah, and I don't think just with what
The
has to get
town's not gonna
done.
be ready.
It's
Right.
not gonna
Jackie
be-
already talked about that.
And that building, I think, needs heat put into it or something.
There's
before
all
it's
kinds of
done.
things
Yeah.
on there with heat and
Yeah. I
windows.
think the
and
heat got
siding,
done, but I
and
think
the
this more.
renovation of the 2 apartments to make.
Oh,
them
it's-
So I think
safe.
the
whole
bike
project.
shop.
The
didn't
bike
have-
shop didn't have heat.
Oh, that
Yeah,
bike shop
that
doesn't
might-
have heat, yes.
Yeah, who needs heat in a bike shop?
So that's all to be
That's
determined.
all. Well,
And
thank
that's
you.
it.
Thank you,
That's a great report. Thank you.
thank you. Great.
Yes, I do. Very good.
All
Thanks.
right. So, any old business? Good. Any new business? Good. Any public comment? No.
No problem.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Amen.
I second it.
Second.
Who's
All in
second?
favor?
Oh, whatever.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.